You stand at the edge of Timbuktu's bustling market, the air thick with the scent of dust and dried dates, as the sun dips low, painting the sky a lazy shade of amber. It's 1324, and the Sahara stretches endlessly around you, a golden sea of sand that hums with secrets older than the pyramids. Camels snort nearby, their bells jangling like a lullaby you didn't know you needed. The market is alive but slow, like a dream where everyone moves through honey. Merchants in flowing robes haggle over salt slabs, their voices a soft murmur, while a stray goat nibbles at a discarded pomegranate rind. You're here to follow Mansa Musa, the king of Mali, whose caravan of 100 camels, each one allegedly lugging sacks of gold, has just rolled into town. You probably won't make it through this day without dozing off under the weight of all that wealth. Close your eyes for a moment, breathe in the warm, spice-laden air, and let the world fade to a gentle hum. If you're enjoying this journey, please give this video a like and subscribe. It helps keep these sleepy tales coming. Oh, and drop a comment with your location and local time. We'd love to know where you're drifting off from tonight. Now let's ease into tonight's journey. You shuffle through the crowd, your sandals kicking up tiny clouds of dust that shimmer in the fading light. Mansa Musa, the richest man you'll ever lay eyes on, is somewhere ahead, his presence rippling through the market like a stone dropped in a still pond. You hear whispers, traders muttering about a king so wealthy his gold could drown a city. The Mali Empire, sprawling across West Africa, is a land of griots and gold mines, where stories are currency and wealth is measured in camel loads. Major fact, Mansa Musa's reign, from 1312 to 1337, marks the height of Mali's power, when its gold fueled trade across the Sahara, linking Africa to the Mediterranean and beyond. His pilgrimage to Mecca, which you're about to witness, will shake the world's economy like a poorly timed tweet shakes a stock market. You pause by a stall where an old woman sells cola nuts, her fingers stained red from years of handling them. She offers you one, her smile creasing her face like a well-read map. You chew it, the bitter tang waking you just enough to keep walking. An obscure tidbit, cola nuts, prized in Mali, were chewed for energy and traded like candy bars at a modern gas station, but they also held spiritual weight, offered in rituals to seal friendships or calm restless spirits. You wonder if they worked. Historians still debate whether cola nuts were more about faith than caffeine. The woman chuckles as you wince at the taste, muttering something about city folk who can't handle a real nut. It's a kind of jab you'd hear from a barista judging your decaf order. The caravan stretches ahead, a serpent of camels and servants winding through Timbuktu's mud brick alleys. You spot Mansa Musa atop a horse, his robe a cascade of indigo, so deep it seems to drink the sunlight. His guards, armed with spears and calm confidence, move like they know the world revolves around their king. You're not sure if it's the heat or the sheer weight of his presence, but your eyelids feel heavy, like they're conspiring to pull you into a nap. A merchant nearby jokes that Musa's gold could buy every camel in the Sahara and still leave change for a nice palace. You smirk, imagine a medieval Bezos, but with better taste in robes. You follow the caravan, your feet sinking into the warm sand. The air carries the faint strum of a kora, a harp-like instrument played by a griot sitting cross-legged under an acacia tree. His fingers dance over the strings, weaving a melody that feels like it's stitching the day together. You imagine him singing of Musa's wealth, each note a coin dropped into the world's ear. The griot's voice is low, hypnotic, pulling you deeper into the scene. You pass a group of children chasing a leather ball, their laughter sharp but fleeting, like a text notification you ignore. One of them trips, and you catch a glint of something shiny in the dust, a tiny gold nugget, maybe dropped from the caravan. You leave it. In this world, Gold feels as common as gravel. The market thins as you near the city's edge, where the Sahara yawns wide and indifferent. You feel the weight of the journey ahead. Musa's pilgrimage will cross deserts, rivers, and empires, all the way to Mecca. You're just a shadow in his story, trailing behind 60,000 people, 100 camels, and enough gold to make a dragon jealous. The wind picks up, whispering through your clothes like a friend telling you to relax. You glance back at the market, its colors blurring into a watercolor haze. Remember that stall with the kola nuts? It's still there, fading into the dusk, a reminder that even kings pass through places where life hums along without them. You yawn, the world softening at the edges, and keep walking, the caravan's rhythm lulling you like a metronome set to sleep. You trudge behind Mansa Musa's caravan, the Sahara stretching before you like a crumpled bedsheet under a dimming sky. The camels plod along, their hooves sinking into the sand with a soft thump, each step a reminder that you're in no rush. Time moves differently here, like a podcast played at half speed. The air is dry, carrying the faint scent of leather and sweat, and you feel the weight of your own breath, slow and deliberate. The caravan is a living city, 60,000 strong, with servants, scholars, and soldiers stretching into the horizon. You're just a speck in this parade, your shadow wobbling on the dunes like a tired guest at a party that never ends. The sun is gone now, replaced by a crescent moon that hangs like a forgotten earring. Torches flicker among the caravan, casting pools of light that dance across the sand. You hear the low hum of voices, griots chanting, mothers soothing children, merchants grumbling about sore feet. Major fact: Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 wasn't just a spiritual journey. It flooded Cairo with so much gold that it crashed the local economy, devaluing the metal for years. Imagine walking into a coffee shop and tipping so much it ruins lattes for a decade. You chuckle at the thought, but quietly. Laughter feels too loud in this vast, sleepy desert. You pass a camel laden with sacks, its back swaying under the weight of gold dust. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, gold wasn't just wealth. It was weighed and traded in tiny, precise pinches called mythicals, each one a whisper of power, like trading Pokemon cards, but with empires at stake. You wonder how they kept track. Historians still debate whether Mali's gold scales were as accurate as their reputation. A nearby servant, his face half hidden by a turban, catches you staring and winks, as if to say, "Don't even think about touching it." You nod back, feeling like you've been caught daydreaming in a zoo meeting. The caravan pauses to rest, and you sink onto a dune, the sand still warm from the day's heat. Someone hands you a gourd of water, and you sip it, the coolness a small mercy. You notice a woman nearby, her hands deftly weaving a basket from dried palm fronds. She's a trader's wife, her fingers moving with the rhythm of someone who's done this 1,000 nights. She hums a tune, soft and repetitive, like a lullaby for the desert itself. You imagine her weaving stories into the basket, each twist a frond of memory of home. A soldier nearby mutters that the desert is kinder at night, and you smirk, sure, if kind means won't bake you like a cookie. Remember the kola nut from the market? That bitter taste lingers in your mouth, a faint echo of Timbuktu's chaos. You glance back, but the city is long gone, swallowed by the dark. The caravan feels like its own world now, a constellation of torches and murmurs moving through the void. You spot Mansa Musa again, dismounted, kneeling in prayer under a canopy of stars. His silhouette is calm, almost ordinary, as if he's not carrying the weight of an empire's wealth. You wonder what he dreams of: gold, God, or maybe just a good night's sleep. A griot nearby strums his kora, the notes floating like fireflies, and you feel your eyelids droop, the desert pulling you into its quiet embrace. You shift on the dune, the sand molding to your shape like a custom mattress. A child runs past, giggling, clutching a tiny clay figure. A camel, maybe, or a charm to ward off spirits. You smile, thinking of kids back home with their action figures. Not so different after all. The caravan's rhythm slows, and you hear the soft clink of gold sacks being adjusted, a sound as soothing as rain on a window. Someone jokes that if a camel trips, the Sahara will glitter for centuries. You stifle a laugh, your body sinking deeper into the dune, the stars above blurring into a soft, endless haze. You sway gently atop a camel now, its lurching gait rocking you like a cradle in a lazy breeze. The Sahara night wraps around you, cool and vast, the stars above, so bright they feel like they're eavesdropping on the caravan. Mansa Musa's procession stretches ahead and behind, a ribbon of torches and murmurs threading through the dunes. The air smells of straw and faint incense, curling from a brazier carried by a servant who walks with the patience of someone who's crossed this desert 100 times. Your camel grunts, unimpressed by your presence, and you pat its neck, wondering if it dreams of greener pastures or just resents your weight. This journey to Mecca feels endless already, like binge-watching a series with no finale in sight. The caravan's rhythm is hypnotic, a slow pulse of hooves and bells that lulls your thoughts into a soft blur. You hear a griot's voice drifting from somewhere ahead, reciting tales of Mali's kings in a cadence that feels like waves lapping at a shore. Major fact: Mansa Musa's pilgrimage wasn't just a personal quest. It showcased Mali's wealth and power to the world, cementing Timbuktu as a hub of trade and learning, where scholars flocked like moths to a very golden flame. You imagine him planning this trip less like a spiritual retreat and more like a medieval PR campaign, complete with camel loads of bling. A young boy walks beside your camel, carrying a bundle of dried herbs tied with twine. He offers you a sprig of something minty, and you tuck it into your robe, its sharp scent cutting through the desert's dryness. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, herbs like mint were burned as incense during long journeys, believed to keep spirits at bay and travelers awake, though clearly they didn't test it on you, because your eyelids are staging a coup. Historians still debate whether these herbs were more ritual than remedy, but you inhale deeply, hoping for a spark of energy. The boy grins, his teeth flashing in the torchlight, and whispers that the mint might make you dream of rivers. You smirk, great, another kid with better marketing skills than half the influencers you know. The caravan curves around a low dune, and you spot a cluster of tents being pitched for the night. Servants move with quiet efficiency, hammering stakes into the sand with muffled thuds. You dismount, your legs wobbly like you've just stepped off a boat, and sink onto a woven mat beside a fire. Someone passes you a clay cup of millet porridge, warm and faintly sweet, and you sip it, the grains soft against your tongue. Remember that kola nut from Timbuktu's market? Its bitterness is a distant memory now, replaced by the porridge's gentle comfort, like a hug from a grandma who insists you eat more. A woman nearby hums as she stirs a pot, her voice blending with the crackle of the fire, and you feel the desert's vastness shrink to the size of this cozy circle. You glance at Mansa Musa's tent, its silk walls glowing under the starlight like a lantern. He's inside, probably praying or counting his gold. Honestly, who knows what billionaires do at night? A guard stands at the entrance, his spear glinting, and you wonder if he ever gets bored standing there, like a bouncer at a club nobody dares crash. Someone jokes that if Musa sneezes, the gold dust might bury them all. You chuckle, the sound swallowed by the night, and lean back, the mat cradling you like a hammock. The griot's story drifts over, something about a king who turned a river to gold, and you wonder if it's about Musa or just desert folklore. Your eyes trace the stars, each one a pinprick in the sky's dark quilt, and you feel sleep tugging at you, soft but insistent. The fire pops, sending a spark into the air, and you blink, trying to stay present. A camel nearby chews its cud with the enthusiasm of someone scrolling through their phone at 3 a.m. You notice the boy with the herbs again, now asleep against his mother's side, the mint sprig still clutched in his hand. The scene feels timeless, like you've stumbled into a painting that smells of smoke and sand. You yawn, the porridge cup warm in your hands, and let your gaze drift to the horizon, where the desert meets the sky in a hazy embrace. The caravan's bells jingle faintly, a lullaby woven into the night, and you feel yourself slipping, the world softening into a dream where gold and stars blur together. You wake to the soft rustle of the caravan stirring, the dawn painting the Sahara in shades of pink and gold, like a watercolor left out in the sun. Your mat is dusted with sand, and your body aches from sleeping on the ground. But the desert's quiet beauty makes you forgive it, at least for now. The air is crisp, smelling of dew, and the faint tang of camel breath. And you stretch, your joints creaking like an old wooden chair. Mansa Musa's caravan is already packing up, tents folding like giant origami, camels grumbling as servants load them with gold-heavy sacks. You're back in the rhythm of this endless journey to Mecca, and honestly, it feels like you signed up for a marathon with no finish line. You grab a flatbread from a nearby basket, its surface speckled with sesame seeds, and tear off a piece, the warmth soothing your hands. Major fact: Mansa Musa's caravan included thousands of slaves and servants, many of whom carried gold or provisions, a human machine that kept this massive pilgrimage moving across 4,000 miles of desert and savanna. It's a sobering thought, like realizing your favorite app runs on the backs of overworked servers. You chew the bread, its nutty flavor grounding you, and watch a group of servants adjust a camel's load, their movements precise despite the early hour. A woman nearby braids her daughter's hair, weaving tiny cowrie shells into the strands, each one clicking softly. An obscure tidbit: cowrie shells, used as currency in Mali, were also sewn into clothing or hair as charms, believed to bring prosperity or ward off envy, like wearing your savings account as jewelry. You wonder if they jingled too much when she walked. Historians still debate whether cowries were more decorative than practical in daily life. The girl giggles as her mother tugs a braid, and you smile, thinking of kids back home with their fidget spinners. The mother catches your glance and nods, her expression saying, "Kids, right?" You nod back, feeling like you've just bonded over parenting in 1324. The caravan lurches forward, and you fall into step, your sandals sinking into the sand with each stride. The sun climbs higher, its warmth creeping up your back like a cat settling into your lap. You pass a griot strumming his kora, his fingers coaxing out a melody that feels like it's braiding the morning together. He sings of a river that feeds Mali's gold, his voice low and steady, and you imagine the Niger River, somewhere far behind you, glinting like a vein of liquid sunlight. Remember the gold nugget you saw in Timbuktu's dust? It feels like a lifetime ago, but the caravan's wealth reminds you of it, every sack a glittering callback to that market's chaos. A merchant walking nearby grumbles about the heat, fanning himself with a palm leaf. He jokes that Musa's gold is so heavy it's slowing the sun's rise. You smirk, sure, blame the king for your sweaty robe. The desert stretches ahead, its dunes rippling like a sea frozen mid-wave, and you feel the vastness pressing against you, both daunting and oddly comforting. A child runs past, clutching a stick carved into a tiny camel, and you wonder if he dreams of leading a caravan someday. The thought makes you yawn, your body still half asleep, and you sip from a gourd of water, its coolness a small rebellion against the growing heat. You spot Mansa Musa ahead, riding a camel now, his indigo robe swaying like a flag of royalty. He's deep in conversation with a scholar, their gestures slow and deliberate, like they're debating the meaning of life over brunch. You imagine them discussing trade routes or theology, but maybe they're just complaining about the sand in their sandals. Kings are human too, right? Someone nearby jokes that if Musa drops a gold coin, the desert will claim it as rent. You chuckle, the sound fading into the caravan's hum, and keep walking, the horizon blurring into a soft, golden haze. Your eyelids droop, the chorus notes wrapping around you like a blanket, and you let the desert's rhythm carry you forward, one sleepy step at a time. You trudge through the Sahara's midday haze, the sun a relentless orb that presses against your skin like a warm iron left too long on a shirt. Mansa Musa's caravan stretches ahead, its line of camels and gold-heavy sacks shimmering in the heat like a mirage you're too tired to chase. The air smells of baked earth and the faint musk of sweat-soaked robes, and you wipe your brow, wishing for a breeze that never comes. The desert is a vast, unyielding canvas, each dune a brushstroke of gold and shadow, and you feel like a speck in a painting that's taking forever to dry. Your sandals sink deeper with each step, as if the sand is politely asking you to take a nap. The caravan's rhythm is a slow heartbeat, hooves thumping, bells jangling, voices murmuring like a distant radio. You hear a woman singing softly, her voice weaving through the heat like a thread of cool water. Major fact: Mansa Musa's pilgrimage included not just gold, but also scholars and poets who carried Mali's knowledge to Cairo and Mecca, making Timbuktu a beacon of learning that rivaled Europe's universities. It's like he packed a library alongside his gold, as if to say, take my wealth, but also my brain power. You smirk, imagining him handing out scrolls like business cards at a conference. A man walking nearby offers you a handful of dried dates, their sweetness a small rebellion against the desert's dryness. You chew slowly, the texture grounding you, and notice he's wearing a bracelet of tiny clay beads, each one carved with a spiral. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, such beads were often worn as talismans, believed to hold prayers or ward off bad luck, like carrying a lucky rabbit's foot, but less furry. Historians still debate whether these beads were purely spiritual or doubled as trade tokens. The man catches you staring and chuckles, saying the beads keep his camel from wandering off. You nod, thinking that's the kind of logic you'd hear from someone selling overpriced crystals on Etsy. The caravan pauses near a cluster of acacia trees, their thorny branches offering scant shade, but enough for a brief rest. You sink onto a woven mat, the same kind you rested on 2 nights ago. Remember that fireside porridge in Section 3? The memory of its warmth lingers, though now your stomach grumbles for more. A child nearby plays with a stick, drawing spirals in the sand that mirror the man's beads. You watch, half dozing. As the spirals grow, each one a tiny echo of the desert's endless curves. A servant jokes that if you fall asleep here, the sand will claim you as a dune by morning. You smile, too tired to laugh, and sip from a gourd of water, its coolness a fleeting gift. You glance toward Mansa Musa, who's dismounted and speaking with a group of griots under a canopy. His robe catches the sunlight, a cascade of indigo that seems to mock the desert's plainness. The griots nod, their hands gesturing like they're weaving the air into stories. You imagine them recounting Mali's history, each tale a thread in a tapestry too vast to hold. A camel nearby snorts, unimpressed by the king's grandeur, and you stifle a laugh. Nature's way of keeping egos in check, like a heckler at a TED Talk. The woman's song continues, now joined by a chora's gentle strum, and you feel your eyelids droop, the music and heat blending into a soft, hypnotic fog. The caravan's bells jingle as preparations resume, and you stand, brushing sand from your robe. The child spirals are already fading, smoothed by a passing breeze. And you think of that gold nugget from Timbuktu's market in Section 1, another fleeting mark in this endless desert. You fall back into step, the caravan moving like a river of gold and ambition, carrying you toward Cairo. The horizon shimmers, promising cities and seas. But for now, it's just you, the sand, and the slow sway of camels. You yawn, the date's sweetness lingering on your tongue, and let the desert's rhythm pull you forward, one sleepy step at a time. You walk through the twilight, the Sahara cooling as the sky shifts to a deep violet, like a bruise on the edge of the world. Mansa Musa's caravan is a glowing thread of torches and gold, winding through dunes that seem to hum with the day's leftover heat. The air carries the scent of smoke and roasted millet, and you inhale deeply, feeling the desert's vastness settle into your bones. Your feet ache, but the sand is softer now, cradling each step like a mother rocking a child to sleep. The caravan's pace feels slower, as if even the camels know it's time to wind down, like a phone battery blinking red at 2 a.m. Voices drift around you, servants whispering, a griot chanting, a child giggling over a game of stones. Major fact: Mansa Musa's wealth came from Mali's gold mines, particularly in Bambuk and Beret, which produced so much gold that it supplied half the known world's demand in the 14th century, fueling trade as far as Europe and Asia. It's like he was sitting on a literal gold mine, making your piggy bank back home feel like a sad jar of pennies. You smile, imagining the logistics of hauling all that wealth. Talk about a supply chain nightmare. A woman nearby adjusts a headscarf adorned with tiny mirrors, each one catching the torchlight like a star trapped in cloth. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, such mirrors were sewn into clothing as protective charms, believed to reflect evil spirits or bad intentions, like a medieval version of a spam filter. You wonder if they actually worked. Historians still debate whether these mirrors were more about faith or fashion. She notices your glance and winks, saying the mirrors keep her safe from nosy travelers. You laugh softly, feeling called out, like when your boss catches you scrolling instead of working. The caravan halts for the night, and you settle near a fire, its warmth pushing back the desert's chill. Someone hands you a bowl of stew, thick with yams and spices, and you spoon it slowly, each bite a small anchor to the moment. Remember the cowrie shells woven into the girl's braids in Section 4? You spot similar shells now, strung around a servant's wrist, clicking softly as he passes out bread. The firelight dances on them, and you imagine they carry stories of their own, traded across empires like whispers. A guard nearby jokes that the stew's so good, it might tempt Musa to stay in the desert forever. You smirk, thinking that's a bold claim for a bowl of yams. Mansa Musa's tent glows in the distance, its silk walls rippling like a calm sea. You see him step out, his silhouette tall against the firelight, speaking to a group of scholars. Their voices are low, debating something, maybe trade, maybe theology, or maybe just where to find decent coffee in Cairo. The thought makes you chuckle, imagining a king craving a latte in 1324. The griot's kora plays on, its notes weaving through the camp like a thread tying everyone together. You lean back, the sand molding to your shape, and feel the stew's warmth spread through you, heavy and comforting. A camel grunts nearby, its load of gold sacks glinting faintly, a reminder of the wealth that surrounds you. You think back to the mint sprig from Section 5, still tucked in your robe. Its scent faded but present, like a memory you can't quite place. The fire crackles, sending sparks into the sky, and you watch them vanish, each one a tiny story swallowed by the night. Someone jokes that if the stars fall, Musa's gold will catch them. You smile, your eyelids heavy, and let the caravan's hum pull you deeper into the desert's embrace, the world blurring into a soft, golden dream. You wander through the caravan's camp as dawn creeps over the Sahara, the sky softening from ink to a pale lavender, like a bruise fading on the world's edge. The air is cool, laced with the scent of dew-soaked robes and the faint char of last night's fires, now smoldering into ash. Mansa Musa's caravan stirs slowly, camels grumbling as servants tie sacks of gold dust to their backs, each knot pulled tight with the care of someone wrapping a gift. Your feet sink into the sand, still soft from the night's chill, and you feel the desert's quiet pulse, like a heartbeat slowed to match your own. This journey to Mecca is starting to feel like a dream you can't quite wake from, and honestly, you're not sure you want to. The camp hums with low voices, griots reciting half-remembered tales, mothers shushing children, merchants muttering about the day's heat. Major fact: Mansa Musa's pilgrimage wasn't just a show of wealth. It funded the construction of mosques and schools across Mali, including the famous Sankore University in Timbuktu, which drew scholars like a medieval magnet for bookworms. You imagine him signing checks with gold dust, building a legacy while you're just trying to keep sand out of your sandals. You smirk, picturing the paperwork for an empire's worth of charity. Talk about a tax season nightmare. A young girl nearby braids a rope from palm fibers, her fingers quick despite the early hour. She hums a tune, and you notice a small leather pouch tied to her wrist, bulging with what looks like tiny stones. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, such pouches often held salt crystals, valued almost as much as gold and carried as tokens of trade or protection, like keeping a lucky penny in your pocket. But Salter, historians still debate whether these pouches were more about superstition or status, but you suspect it's both. The girl catches you staring and giggles, saying the pouch keeps her from getting lost. You nod, thinking that's a better GPS than your phone's spotty signal back home. You settle near a smoldering fire, accepting a clay cup of tea from a passing servant. The tea is bitter, steeped with herbs that taste like the desert itself, and you sip it slowly, the warmth spreading through your chest. Remember the stew from Section 6, thick with yams? Its memory lingers, but this tea is sharper, waking you just enough to keep walking. A man nearby adjusts a camel's load, muttering that the beast is lazier than a Monday morning. You chuckle, the sound muffled by the camp's soft buzz, and watch the horizon, where the sun's first rays glint off the gold sacks, turning the caravan into a glittering snake. Mansa Musa appears, walking among his people, his indigo robe catching the dawn like a canvas painted with night. He pauses to speak with a griot, their conversation a quiet dance of gestures and nods. You wonder what they're saying, maybe planning a mosque or just swapping stories about cranky camels. A servant nearby jokes that Musa's wealth could buy the sunrise itself. You smile, imagining him negotiating with the sun like it's a stubborn vendor. The girl with the pouch skips past, her rope now finished, and you notice she's tied it around a camel's neck, a makeshift charm. The camp begins to move, tents folding like tired eyelids, and you stand, the tea's warmth fading as you fall into step, the desert's rhythm pulling you deeper into its golden haze. The air grows warmer, the sand shifting underfoot like a carpet that's had one too many parties. You spot that mint sprig from Section 5, still tucked in your robe, its scent now faint but stubborn, like a memory that refuses to fade. The caravan's bells jingle, a soft counterpoint to the griot's kora, which strums somewhere behind you, weaving the morning into a lullaby. You yawn, your body heavy, and let your gaze drift to the dunes, their curves softening in the light. The world feels like it's slowing down, each step a gentle nudge towards sleep, and you wonder how much farther you'll go before the desert claims you for a nap. You plod along the caravan's path, the Sahara now bathed in midday light, the sun a golden weight that presses against your shoulders like a too warm blanket. The dunes ripple around you, endless and indifferent, their curves catching shadows that look like waves frozen in time. The air smells of dust and the faint tang of leather, warmed by the heat and the constant shuffle of 60,000 feet. Mansa Musa's caravan stretches ahead, its gold-laden camels swaying like ships on a sandy sea, and you feel like a sailor who forgot to pack sunscreen. Your robe clings to you, heavy with sweat, but the desert's vastness has a strange calm, like a song played too slow to dance to. Voices drift through the heat, servants calling to each other, a child laughing, a griot's chant rising and falling like a tide. Major fact: Mansa Musa's pilgrimage brought so much gold to Cairo that it disrupted the city's markets, causing inflation that took years to stabilize, a bit like flooding a small town with lottery winnings. You imagine merchants in Cairo, jaws dropping as Musa's caravan rolled in, their ledgers thrown into chaos. You smirk, thinking of the poor scribes scrambling to update prices like baristas rewriting a menu board mid-rush. A man nearby adjusts a turban adorned with a single feather, its tip dyed a soft red that catches the sunlight. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, feathers in clothing often signaled a person's role or status, like a badge, with colors like red tied to spiritual protectors or griots, though only the brave or vain wore them in the desert's dust. Historians still debate whether these feathers were purely symbolic or carried practical meaning, like signaling rank in a crowd. The man notices your glance and grins, saying the feather keeps the sun from stealing his thoughts. You nod, chuckling, sure, like a tinfoil hat for the 14th century. You pause to rest near a low dune, sinking onto the sand, which feels like a warm mattress you're too tired to resist. Someone hands you a piece of flatbread, dusted with grains of millet, and you tear into it, the crunch a small comfort against the desert's monotony. Remember the cowrie shells from section 4, woven into the girl's braids? You spot a similar shell now, tucked into a servant's belt, glinting like a tiny moon. It's a reminder of Molly's wealth, where even small things carry value. A woman nearby jokes that the sand itself might be gold if Musa keeps spilling his sacks. You smile, your mouth full of bread, and feel the heat pressing you deeper into the dune. Mansa Musa rides past, his camel stride steady, his face calm but unreadable, like a CEO who's mastered the art of looking busy. He's surrounded by scholars, their robes flapping as they gesture, probably debating trade routes or the finer points of faith. You wonder if they ever tire of the journey, or if the gold makes it all worthwhile. A servant nearby mutters that the camels are grumpier than the king, and you laugh softly, imagining a camel union demanding better hours. The griot's kora plays on, its notes floating through the caravan like a breeze you can't quite catch. You lean back, the bread gone, and let your eyes trace the dunes, their edges blurring in the heat. The caravan moves again, and you stand, brushing sand from your robe. That clay pouch from section 7, with its salt crystals, comes to mind. You wish you had one now, if only to feel less like a walking dust cloud. The horizon shimmers, promising Cairo's markets, or maybe just more sand. And you fall into step, the caravan's rhythm a steady hum. A child runs past, kicking a leather ball, and you smile, thinking of the stick-carved camel from section 4. The desert feels alive, its stories woven into every grain, and you yawn, the sun's warmth pulling you toward sleep like a tide you're too tired to fight. You drift through the caravan's twilight march, the Sahara cloaked in a dusky purple that feels like the world's last sigh before sleep. The air is cool now, tinged with the scent of cooling sand and the faint sweetness of dried figs passed around by a servant. Mansa Musa's caravan winds through the dunes, its torches flickering like fireflies lost in a sea of shadows. Your sandals scuff softly, each step sinking into sand that feels like it's whispering for you to lie down and rest. The camels plod ahead, their gold-heavy sacks swaying, and you wonder if they're as tired as you are, carrying an empire's worth of wealth like it's just another Tuesday. The caravan's hum surrounds you, soft chants, the clink of bells, a child's unblending with a griot's distant kora. Major fact: Mansa Musa's pilgrimage wasn't just a religious trek. It was a diplomatic mission that forged ties with North African and Middle Eastern rulers, spreading Mali's influence like a viral post across medieval trade networks. You imagine him shaking hands in Cairo, his gold paving the way for alliances, like a CEO closing deals with a bottomless expense account. You smirk, thinking of the paperwork those rulers must have faced. Imagine the inbox clutter of 1324. A woman nearby adjusts a necklace of polished stones, each one glinting faintly in the torchlight like a captured star. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, such stones, often agate or jasper, were worn as amulets, believed to carry blessings from ancestors or protect against desert spirits, like a medieval version of a fitness tracker promising inner peace. Historians still debate whether these stones were chosen for their beauty or their supposed powers, but you suspect it's a bit of both. She notices your glance and smiles, saying the stones keep her dreams light. You nod, chuckling, sure, like a weighted blanket for your soul. You settle near a small fire, its warmth pushing back the night's chill, and accept a handful of roasted nuts from a passing boy. Their salty crunch is a welcome jolt, reminding you of the kola nuts from Timbuktu's market in Section 1. Though these are gentler on your tongue, the fire crackles, sending sparks into the sky, and you watch them fade, each one a tiny story lost to the stars. A servant nearby jokes that if Musa's gold spills, the desert will be too rich to let them leave. You smile, your mouth full of nuts, and lean back, the sand molding to your shape like a memory foam mattress you didn't know you needed. Mansa Musa's tent glows ahead, its silk walls rippling in the breeze like a dream you're half remembering. You see him speaking with a scholar, their silhouettes sharp against the firelight, gesturing like they're solving the world's problems or just debating dinner. A griot's voice drifts over, singing of a river that feeds Mali's minds, and you think of the Niger River, its waters a lifeline left far behind. Remember the cowrie shells from Section 4, woven into braids? You spot one now, tied to a camel's harness, glinting like a wink from the past. A child nearby giggles, tossing a pebble into the sand, and you wonder if he's playing or casting his own tiny spell. Someone jokes that the stars are just Musa's gold, scattered across the sky. You laugh softly, your eyelids heavy, and let the caravan's rhythm lull you, the desert's cool breath pulling you toward sleep. You wake to the soft clatter of the caravan stirring, the Sahara bathed in a pale dawn that feels like the world's just hit the snooze button. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of dew and the faint musk of camel fur, still warm from the night. Your body aches from sleeping on the sand, but the quiet beauty of the dunes makes you forgive the discomfort, at least for now. Mansa Musa's caravan is packing up, servants folding tents with the precision of someone wrapping a present they're too tired to care about. You stand, brushing sand from your robe, and feel the desert's rhythm settle into your bones, slow and steady, like a song you've forgotten the words to. The caravan moves forward, its line of gold-laden camels stretching into the horizon like a golden thread through a needle's eye. Major fact: Mansa Musa's generosity during his pilgrimage was legendary. He gave away so much gold in Cairo that it was said he built mosques with every step, leaving a trail of charity that reshaped cities. It's like he was the Oprah of the 14th century, handing out wealth like free cars to everyone in the audience. You smirk, imagining the chaos of his gift-giving. Hope he didn't expect thank you notes. A man nearby ties a bundle of cloth to a camel, its edges embroidered with tiny knots and patterns that look like stars. An obscure tidbit: in Mali, knotted cloth was often used to send messages or mark ownership, each knot a code understood by traders or family, like texting with thread instead of emojis. Historians still debate whether these knots were a formal system or just a crafty tradition. But you like the idea of secrets tied into fabric. The man catches you staring and shrugs, saying the knots keep his camel from wandering off to join another caravan. You chuckle, thinking that's the kind of logic you'd hear from someone debugging code at midnight. You pause to sip from a gourd of water, its coolness a small mercy against the rising heat. The taste reminds you of the tea from Section 7, bitter and grounding, though this water is sweeter, like a promise of rivers ahead. A woman nearby weaves a mat from dry grasses, her hands moving with a rhythm that feels older than the desert itself. You watch, half dozing, as her fingers braid stories into the weave, each twist a memory of home. A servant jokes that if the caravan stops too long, the sand will start charging rent. You smile, your gourd empty, and fall into step, the caravan's bells jingling like a lullaby you can't resist. Mansa Musa rides ahead, his camel stride steady, his indigo robe catching the morning light like a flag of quiet power. He's speaking with a group of merchants now, their gestures slow, as if they're negotiating the price of the sunrise. You wonder if they're bartering gold or just swapping desert survival tips. Kings need shade too, right? Remember the feather from Section 8, dyed red in the man's turban? You spot another now, tucked into a servant's belt, swaying like a tiny flame. A child runs past, clutching a stick carved into a bird, and you think of the clay camel from Section 4, another small toy tying this journey together. Someone jokes that if Musa's camels tire, he'll just buy the desert and walk on gold. You laugh softly, the sound fading into the caravan's hum, and let the dunes' gentle curves pull you forward, your eyelids drooping as the world softens into a warm, golden haze.